guys, welcome back to Creativity and Inspiration. I'm Lisa. Today we are creating a journal for beginners. We're going to talk about junk journal terms. We're going to talk about the easiest journal to make as a beginner. In fact, I'm going to give you 2 easy journals to make from scratch as a beginner. And like I said, all of the vocabulary that matches a junk journal. And we're going to talk about where the term junk journal came from. So we're going to jump in. But first, I wanted to show you some art I've been doing because I'm also an artist. And I don't know if you know, artists do things called artist studies. And that's where they paint, draw the same image over and over, but they do it in different ways. And I was inspired by this photo, which is a tree in my yard, and there it is lit up by Christmas lights. So that inspired this. And I remember, an artist interpretation is different, and I am not a fine artist. I don't paint things to look exactly like the image, as in this, or like they don't look exactly, it's not real life, if that makes sense. But this is my interpretation of the tree with the Christmas lights. After that, I did the same tree, but without the Christmas lights in daylight. And then I did one more of the same tree, but at night without the Christmas lights. And this is really only half of the tree that I can see over my fence and my roof. And I thought I was done after I did the night image, because I had done 3. And I thought, well, that's, I'm done. I'm happy with this tree now in all its iterations, right? And these are 16 by 20s. And I will be framing these and putting them on my art website, just FYI. But I thought, and they're done. Okay, but I thought I was done after the nighttime one. And then I decided, you know what? I want to do one more. And I just want to do fun, crazy colors. Like maybe make it pink with purple leaves. Or something just totally crazy fun. So that's going to be the last iteration of this tree. And the weird thing is, I'm an acrylic artist, but I love other mediums. I love to experiment. I'm a mixed media artist. I love to layer. But these are all in oil sticks. All 3 of these were done in oil sticks. I love oil sticks because you can basically hold them like a crayon and color, and then you kind of blend it all together to get whatever look you're trying to get. So that's what made these even more fun for me, is because it was a totally different medium. So I'm going to do one more in the oil sticks. And it, like I said, it's going to be like a purple or pink. Just some crazy iteration of this tree that is real. Now, but I did say I was an acrylic painter, right? And all of the ones I showed you so far, the oil stick ones, are on paper. They're 16 by 20 on paper, and I'm going to frame them. The last one, besides the crazy one I'm going to do with oil sticks on paper, is the acrylic painting of the tree with the Christmas lights at night. It's on a canvas. So you're going to have 3, 4, 5 different interpretations of this photograph. And that's when an artist says they're doing an art study, that's what they're doing. They're looking at one scene, one object, and they're interpreting it with different styles, with different textures, with different mediums, until they feel like, okay, I've done this image, I've given it all, I've done different textures, different colors, different tints, hues. I've created it in a bunch of different mediums, and I'm happy now. And I just had a thought that I may make a mixed media version of this tree as well. So there may end up being another tree on canvas as well. So this tree is not done. I thought I was done. This tree is not done. So stay tuned if you're interested in all of that. And I'll show you, I haven't filmed any of this process, but I'll film the last 3. I'll film finishing this canvas, I'll film doing the crazy color one on paper, and I'll film the mixed media one, just so you can see what goes into it. Okay, now we're going to jump into our beginner journal video. Okay guys, before we start with journal covers, we're going to talk about the history of junk journals, where they came from. Junk journaling evolved from the Victorian era practice of scrapbooking, where people used mementos, photos, and letters to document their lives. It grew alongside the scrapbooking industry boom in the late 90s and has recently gained popularity through social media, being a creative mixed media craft that uses eclectic, often recycled materials. Now, there are 2 or 3 historical origins. One, the Victorian scrapbook, which was the practice that dated back to the 19th century with the tradition of scrapbooking, where people preserved mementos like letters, flowers, and photos to record family history and life events. Now, during the 1940s, when materials got to be, too expensive, a lot of families were broke, and you had to make do with what you had. Back in the 1940s, families used their ledgers that they used for household accounting to create journals. And these accounting ledgers turned into junk journals. They would use scraps of paper. They would use, torn pieces of paper. They would use whatever they could find, old packaging, anything, scraps of fabric, to create pockets, to make flip outs for writing, that sort of thing. The key characteristics of junk journaling are eclectic materials. That means they use diverse and unconventional materials such as old book pages, vintage paper, fabric scraps, old envelopes, and other stuff like food packaging, that sort of thing. They are a mixed media. Junk journals are a form of mixed media. And a lot of junk journals have many interactive elements. They'll have the flip outs, they have the tip ins, they have tuck spots, they have pockets, and they're very personalized. So that's where junk journals came from the Victorian era of scrapbooking, and from the 1940s when everybody was broke. Now we're going to talk about 2 of the simplest beginning journals to make. And one is a paper bag journal, where you just take an ordinary paper bag, brown, white, whatever you have, and fold it in half. And this becomes your cover. Another very simple, easy beginner junk journal to do is to use a vintage cards. I don't know who this one's from. I don't know anything about it. I got it in a package of old cards at an estate sale. So using cards that were previously gifted, that's part of the charm. That's what makes it a junk journal. So using old cards or using a paper bag are great ways to do your first beginner junk journal. Okay, we're going to start with a paper bag. Now, what goes into a paper bag? What in the heck is a signature? Guys, a signature is just your pages, okay? And normally a signature or your group of pages is 10 to 15 pieces of paper, and you can have repeats, you may not, you can have some that are shorter than the rest. That gives it visual interest. You can do whatever you want. So what do I have here? I have an old map. I have a piece of vellum. I have a piece of tea-dyed paper. I have a piece of graph paper, an old music sheet, and an old accounting sheet. And these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could do more. Like I said, normally they're 10 to 15 pages. Okay, we have 6 pages here. Some other things you can use in a journal that will give you more storage are bags. Again, they're going to add interest because of their shape. If they have something on them. This is a vintage coffee bag. It's got, you know, some interest. Or it could just be a clear glassine bag if you had one. A brown paper bag. Whatever you have works. So paper bags are a great way to increase your signature size. Because these are going to give you more storage. And like I said, interesting because of the shape. Something else you can add in is paper, scrapbook paper, whatever kind of paper you have. If you have old book pages, those are great to go in. You can use whatever you have laying around, okay? And what you do is you just take them, you put them in whatever order you want them in. And you fold them in half. Don't worry, I'm going to tear this off because it's coming off. And then you fold them right down the middle. And don't worry about the order. Put them in whatever order you want them in. And then just fold the whole group of pages in half. And this is your signature. Now, if you're going to use a paper bag as your journal, you're going to want to fit the pages to the side of the paper bag. So you're going to trim your signature down, okay? But I already have some pages pulled. So this is your signature. We're going to save this one for a card because I already have some pages cut down to go into a paper bag. But here we go. Here are our signature pages that we had, and we've cut them down and they fit our paper bag right here. And this is a paper bag that I got at a pharmacy, okay? So there we go. We have our cover and we have our signature, which is our pages. Now, there are 2 schools on this next step. One school of thought is you decorate everything before you put it together. The second is you sew your signature in and then you go back and decorate your pages. That is totally a personal preference and totally whatever you want to do as the person making your journal. If you're going to attach it first, what you're going to want to do is find the center of your pages, the center of your signature, and you're going to poke. We're going to do the pamphlet method. That's how I'm going to sew this together. And you poke 3 holes. The pamphlet method is very simple. It's 3 holes. One at the top, one at the middle, and one at the bottom. So we're going to do that. And you can use an owl, which is this pointy tool that I had found in my husband's toolbox. And first, I'm going to start with the center one. Now, you can make templates for this if you feel like you want them perfect. Make a template. Where do you want it at the top, the center, and the bottom? And use that template every time you poke your holes. I am not that... You know, it doesn't matter to me. I just kind of poke. So all you do, and I'm poking through all of the pages, all of the signature pages at one time. That way I know all of my holes are going to line up. And I'm going through the cover too, and I'm just twisting. And yes, it's hard. That's one reason why you only do 10 to 15 pages. The other reason is once you start filling them up, if you have more pages, because remember, 10 pages is 20, and 15 pieces of paper, remember, 10 pieces of paper are 20 pages, and 15 are 30. So you do more than that, and your journal is going to be way too thick to work with. Trust me, once you start using it and filling it up, it'll be too much to work with. Now, let me get what we're going to sew this together with. And this is wax thread. It is thread with a wax coating, and it makes for a great medium to sew journals together. You can get it on Etsy, you can get it on, I think, Amazon. You can get it wherever you can find it for the best price. Now, if you don't have wax thread, is it the end of the world? Of course not. You can also use yarn, twine, whatever goes with your journal, use that. I like wax thread because my eyes are very old and I have trouble threading needles, but the wax thread, always the first time. Then you pull off some, and you want to leave a little extra so you can tie it. Now, everybody's different on that. I like to leave a little extra so I can tie it off. And what I like to do is go down through the center one first, and you're going to leave some tail of thread up, and you're going to come up through the end, the top. Like that. And you're going to pull it tight. See? Like that. Then you're going to come back through the center hole. And then you're going to come up through the last hole at the bottom. Like that. And again, pull it tight so it looks like that on the outside. Pull this one tight. And you're going to tie it in the center. Now you can do this on the outside. If you rather you tie it not in the center of your journal, but on the spine, that's fine. I kind of like to tie mine in the center. Then I cut these about even. And I like to put charms on the strings. You don't have to do that. And remember, if you want to tie them on the outside, instead of going down through the center, come up through the center and your strings will be on the outside. Okay, so that is our beginner journal. It's all ready to go. Let's put some items in this journal that you're going to be using. I have some old candle papers, old calendar pages, and calendar pages are a great way to add pockets, tuck spots, that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick a page, and I'm going to pick this page, and we're going to make some pockets and tuck spots. Now you can pick whatever piece of paper you want. I do want to show you this. I've also used some sticky notes. You can use these as flip outs. They flip up. You could write or put a photo under here. You can flip down and write that. So those are flip ups, flip downs. This is a type of waterfall. Again, using sticky notes because it's easy, but you could use pieces of paper that you sew down and you kind of flip them up like that. Now, let's do some stuff with our calendar page here, and we're just going to pick a random page. And we're going to make a side tuck spot. And remember, a tuck spot isn't quite as deep as a pocket, but you can stick something in there and it won't fall out. And I know I drive you crazy because I don't cut straight, but sorry. I'm a mixed media artist and perfect doesn't matter. Okay, so you could add that to the side there And what you're going to do is you're going to cut it to fit the side. And then you're just going to attach it on the very, very tippy ends. You can do this with glue. You can do this with glue or double-sided tape, whatever you have available. I normally use double-sided tape for these videos just because they allow me to keep moving with the next page. I don't have to wait for anything to dry and be stuck together. Take my double-sided tape. I'm just going to put it on the very tippy ends. And I'm going to kind of fold it over so there's plenty of room. And see if I have any tape, I just fold it over. Boom. And I made chili today. It's cold here. Okay, so there's my double-sided tape. I'm going to come to my page, put it on there, and then a tuck spot. It's that simple. And it's where you just simply tuck something in. And don't forget, you want to put some tape along the back too, because this isn't a belly band. This is a tuck spot. So what I'm going to do is come in and okay guys, so we got our tape on each end. Now we're going to come in and put it on the back side because we want a tuck spot, not a belly band. I'll show you a belly band in a minute. But I have to get this on and then flip over any tape. And we're going to put this down. Okay, there we go. There is our tuck spot. And now, see, it just tucks in, but it holds it. It doesn't fall out. So that's a tuck spot. Real simple. Now, pocket is a little more in depth. Pocket has depth and you can stick something all the way in it. This is a pocket. How did I make it? I just simply used a tag, put tape on 3 sides, and made a pocket. Pockets can also be across the bottom like a traditional pocket like that. We'll make this one bigger. So we're just going to put some tape again on the sides and the bottom, and that is a pocket. Now tuck spots too can go on the top. They can go anywhere you want your tuck spot to be. So, and then this is a pocket. And again, remember you want thin glue lines, thin tape lines, because you want to be able to use it. I've made tuck spots or pockets before where I've used too much glue and there was no room for the tuck part. Okay, if you have any tape overlapping, fold it in, put it where you want it on your page, and boom, now you have a full size pocket. Okay. Now, so that is our first easy, simple beginner journal made out of paper bags. Now we're going to go to our greeting card, our vintage greeting card that I got in a bag at an estate sale. Okay, here's our signature we made just a few minutes ago. And we're going to put it, hold on, in our greeting card. And then if you want to trim off all of the extra, by all means do. And we will, just a minute. So the card is our cover. So we're going to come to the center again, which is our music paper. And we're going to get everybody kind of nice and even. Get the card all nice and even. And we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. Poke our holes. And I lost the one I just used, so I have 2. It's always good to have 2. Again, I start in the center, and this time we'll tie it on the outside. So you take your owl and you poke through the center of all the pages and the cover. You can also make a template if you feel like you want something a little easier than doing it random. I do it random because you make them so many different sizes that this helps everything stay, you know, this gets through everything. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to get our wax thread again because it's the easiest thing to do. We'll try not to waste so much. I never get the right amount though. And again, wax thread is so easy to thread. I normally get it first, second try, which is so good since I am so blind up close. Okay, now we're going to tie our string on the spine. So we're going to start, instead of going down the center inside, we're going to go up through the center from the outside. And we're going to pull it tight. And then we're going to go down the top from the inside. Okay. And we're going to pull a little of the tail up like that. Then we're going to come up through the center. Okay. We're going to go up through the center. Up through the center again. And pull it tight and get your, okay, and then we're going to go down through the end. And you're going to pull it through. And see, now your strings are on the outside and not the inside. And again, you just knot them as tight as you can. And you don't have to use wax thread. You can use yarn. You can use embroidery floss. But see, there you go. Now, this one's on the outside. The other one was inside. Same stitch. And there you go. Now, this is our journal. Now, we've talked tuck spots and pockets. Let's talk a belly band. What is a belly band for a journal? It's just like, think belt, a belly band. And it just goes across the center of your paper. And this time, we're going to use this, and we're going to make a belly band about 1 inch thick. And you tie a belly band, you attach to the center. This one's a little long, so we're going to cut it off to fit. But save this because we can make a tab out of that if we wanted to. We could use it on a tag, so never get rid of any little discards. Because remember, in the 1940s, when things were so bad because of the Great Depression, when the things were so bad in the 1940s, they reused everything. 1920s with the Great Depression, the 30s. Things were still bad in the 40s. That's why I keep saying the 40s. But you just keep, again, a little bit of tape. But you're only taping on the ends for a belly band. And then you put it in the center, because remember, belly, like your pants, a belt. And you just put it where you want it in the center and fold it down. And then you take whatever you're going to put in your belly band. And it goes in like that. And that is a belly band. Now, remember the bag that we used in this one? It's a built-in pocket. There you go. You have a pocket right there. So bags are great for storage in journals. It's a great way to use old bags that maybe you get at the pharmacy or somewhere at the vet. I get a lot of paper bags from the vet and the pharmacy. Okay, now the last thing I want to show you on a beginner journal. Okay, now we're going to do a tip-in using this calendar page and this page. And how I do on my tip-ins is I'll take the edge of the paper and I'll take some clear Scotch tape and I'll put it on the edge of the postcard, the page, whatever that I want to tip in. And I put it on the next page like that and fold it over so it kind of folds in and out. And then this is tucked in like that. And then you can open it up and you can put another piece of clear tape over that one. And just cover it up like that. Okay. And that is your tip-in. It stays nice and flat. There's a piece of tape on this. Hold on. Okay, there we go. See, it stays nice and flat. It tips in, tip in. Oops. It tips in, tip in. You can open it up. You have a place to write. You can put a photo there. Maybe you want to do something secret. And then it folds into your page. So that is a tip-in, and I just do it using Scotch tape. That's what works for me. Now, with this excess, you can definitely get your scissors and trim it down if you want. Whatever personal preference is. I would probably trim a little bit off of here, but otherwise, I like the overhang look. That's me. Everybody's different. Now, this cover, you might be going, what is the deal with this cover? Well, it's got a spot where you can write about your journal or whatever, and what you could do is put a piece of Velcro and have it closed so it's like a hidden area as well. But guys, this was the basics of what is a junk journal and how to create the very basic and some very basic terms like signature, tuck spot, belly band, pocket, and tip-in. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget, hit that subscribe button. See you next time. Bye-bye.